All right, class, we are ready for the final steps of this project, and that is adding all the extra details to our planet to make it look interesting and cool and make it be your dream planet. So we are going to start adding details like people, buildings, plants, whatever you want to incorporate in your microplanet. Remember, these pictures should be saved prior to this project. If you choose to add more images later on, that is fine as well. Just make sure they are free use images. And then we are going to add some lighting to those images by adding shadows and highlights. And then we will use the transform and warp tools to exaggerate the perspective to make it look like it's actually sitting on the planet. So here is our planet, or my planet that I currently have. And what I'm going to do is open up all the files that I plan on using, or at least a couple of them. So I have like this boathouse, I have a palm tree. Let's see, I also have a seagull. So just kind of a heads up, if you search for images that have a white background, it's going to make this next step a little bit easier. Some of these other ones are going to be a little bit trickier, but you can still get them out easily. So I'm going to start out with my house here. And I'm going to use the magnetic selection tool just so I can select this house part. So I'm just going to drag it along. If I click on my mouse while I'm doing this, it will select wherever I click the mouse. So if it's not quite picking up where you want it to, just keep that in mind. And you can hit the backspace button and it will unselect something if you don't want it to select a certain area. Okay, so I have the house selected. So what I'm going to do is go to edit and copy and then paste it into my project here. And it's way too big, so I'm just going to go to edit, free transform, and scale that down. I'm also, well, I'll finish doing this first. So I want the house to sit on the sandy side here. And I'm just going to hit OK for now so I can move this. So I'm going to move the house to the top, and I'm also going to relabel it. So make sure you label your layers. Okay. And I'm going to go back to my free transform button here. And up at the top, next to the check mark, there's this little option that has kind of like an arch and some arrows on it. I'm going to click on that, and that's going to allow me to warp this. So if you click on it, you can see that it starts to warp. But I think before I do that, I'm going to rotate it a little bit. And then I'm going to use my warp tool here. So I can pull out these corners to make it look like it's wrapping around the planet a little bit more. Make it bulge out a little bit. So I'm just kind of changing the perspective so it looks like it fits on my planet. And then something I want to do is add some highlights and shadows to this. And I'm going to add it to my texture layer here. And I'm just going to use the dodge and the burn tool to do that. So my highlights are going to be towards the top, and the shadows are going to be falling to the bottom right. So I'm going to add the shadows underneath of the house. So I'm just going to go around and make it a little bit darker right under where my house is sitting. If you want to do this to the house layer itself or the actual image itself, feel free to do that. You can just add some highlights and some shadows to make it look a little bit more realistic. So you're just going to keep doing that for all of your elements. So for this one, like I said, I have a white background. So I can just use my magic wand tool, or you can use the quick selection tool. And you can select things pretty easily that way. So for there, select part of my background. Okay, retry that. There we go. So yeah, having the white background definitely makes things easier to select. I'm going to use my move tool and then go to edit and copy and then edit and paste. Free transform. So you want to do this for all of your elements. I would say your planet should have like at least 3 things on it, if not more. And you want to make sure you are adding in those highlights and shadows to make it look more realistic. And as always, make sure you label your layers. So I'm going to let you go ahead and repeat that process until you're done. And I can't wait to see what your little planets turn out to look like.